It's time now for the news review, and joining me, my two guests, Amanda Clinton, head of Clinton Consultancy, head of chambers at Clinton Consultancy. She's a lawyer. She joins the conversation. We also have Eko Vincent Asifwa. He's a member of parliament for Old Tafel and deputy minister for local government. Both of them join me this morning. Good morning, lady. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I hope you're well.
Very well, thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, here we go. As always, I'll take your quick thoughts on happenings in the country, and then from there, we'll get into the Lone Ranger newspaper that has decided to bless us this morning, the Daily Graphic, and then we'll look at some online portals. But I'll start with you, lady, Amanda Clinton.
Well, the latest headline I read last night, I think, was 279 people expelled by the NPP, and various reasons were given, including, I guess...
Oh, the one that includes Cynthia Morrison.
Yes, please.
Right.
I think she ran as an independent candidate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. I mean, I think if one does join a party and gets elected because they join a party, you have to be loyal to that party.
Yeah. I see. What's interesting is that, even while she had expressed some intent to contest as an independent candidate, when there were the tussles in Parliament, I would see her behind Afinyo Markin and the rest. So she was caucusing with them. there was no frostiness there. But now that the process is over, okay, go your own way. Though the two major political parties, the NDC and the MPP, have it in their constitution, from what I gather, that once you engage in any of those actions, you automatically cease to become a member.
Hence
anyway,
the Speaker's
but I guess it's different strokes for different folks, because Eko Vincent Asifwa, you will agree with me, the MP for Mena, Honorable Esiama,
right,
went independent, won in Mena, and of course now you guys made him caucus with you because he was of the family, and now he's back on the ticket of the MPP, and in fact he won. Yeah. Again in Fomena. So I guess when it suits the party,
not necessarily,
you will be brought back.
According to your cherry viewers, and I want to take a bite on what my dear sister Riley said. For me, yesterday when I saw the news, I felt that the party could have been a bit hesitant, especially in the times that we are. Because, yes, the constitution of the party says that as soon as someone decides to contest, and indeed contest as an independent candidate, automatically you forfeit your membership. But here be the case, we've gone for an election that has been very bad in terms of the outcome for the New Patriotic Party. And for that matter, we have to find a way to reflect and do things differently. And so the party leadership, in my estimation, should rather engage rather than to say that people are forfeiting their membership. Because 2028 is around the corner. You need people, you need a membership to be able to win power, and we cannot start this way. I don't think this is how we can start. We have to reorient our mind. We have to take a new direction. We have to find a way that we can get hold of the people, for the people to really understand that. I do not think that we lost this election because of the fact that we were not able to perform, but because we were not able to communicate our challenges and difficulties to the people. We made it look as if all was well. We made it look as if that we could do everything, even in the face of the challenges that we had as a people. But I think that Ghanaians are reasonable. If we're able to let them know the challenges and the difficulties that we go through, they will know where we are as a nation. They will know how we stand as far as the economy is concerned. If you are not able to do so, it becomes very problematic, because when the social contract is signed with you by a Ghanaian voter, the anticipation is that I'm looking for potable water, I'm looking for food security, I'm looking for electricity, effective, robust electricity, I'm looking for quality education, and all these things. So when that social contract is signed and you are not able to meet it, the challenges will have to be communicated to the Ghanaian people for them to know that indeed this is situation. You don't repackage it and make it look as if all is well. But of course, as I said, we've learned our lessons. Yesterday when I saw it, I decided that when I have the opportunity, I will speak to the party leadership for us to take a new direction. That this direction cannot help the party. We are the owners of the party. We are the youth.
But one must be loyal to a party. You don't do it because you gain your attention because you join a big party, and you know that is what has given you your accolades and everything else. And so if you are going to break ranks, particularly on the issue of membership, etc., I think both parties are right to let go of people in those instances.
And I was just about to go to that. Your party constitutions are clear, which is why Alan Trematin, for example, he left at a point when the Kufuor administration was, easing up. He came back, right? Now he's left again. If for some reason he comes back into the party, there are processes he would have to go through, right? So even someone as high-ranking as he, as of now, he's no longer a member of the MPP, right? So it is what it is, isn't it?
See, the constitution...
But I do agree with you.
...has been couched in such a way
timing.
That, yes, the constitution of the party has been couched in such a way that sometimes you can relax them. Sometimes you can even suspend an article of the constitution.
Right.
Why?
And we've seen your party do that in the past.
When Dr. Muhammad Bawumia was...
I was just about to mention that.
So at the time, he was not a party member, but he suspended articles of the Constitution to make way for him to be able to...
And you see, that bit you just said, right? That's another thing that, you see, I feel part of why the MPP lost this election. You mentioned it. A lot of untruth. Pretending challenges were not challenges and all that. Because you see this point you just made.
Those are your words.
No, hold on.
Those are your words.
Those are my words, not yours. I'm not saying they are yours. But this bit about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia not having been a member at a certain point in time when he was brought into the party, it's been contested by some of your colleagues who will come here and say, oh, no, do we know when he became a member? And all? You see, some of these rub Ghanaians as though, now, you see, you make a point. You made a point. Just so we can move on this one. There were challenges.
Right.
No government, no matter how rosy the times, will come and not face some challenges.
Yes.
You get it. But the picture was painted as though, but what are you people complaining about? I mean, you remember the running mates for your candidate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, when some people complained about electricity and all that, would say, well, draw your own timetable. You see, some of those egregious commentary. When I listened to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia recently...
Did he really say that?
When
you have to
did he not?
No.
Did he not?
No, because...
What did he say?
No, because at the time, I remember, when the journalist asked him about when are you going to bring about a timetable, especially when it has already been in the media that there is a timetable but has been shielded by the Minister of Energy. He said that there is no timetable, but the journalist was forcing him that...
The journalist was forcing him?
Yes, that he should bring out a timetable. But he said, no, there's no timetable. You understand? Because at the time, there was no need for a timetable because to him, he felt that it was doom CACA. Doom CACA means that within a shortest possible time, we should be able to solve the problem that we had. So I don't think he said that. We may have to put the context right for the Ghanaian people to understand. But you see,
well,
the point I'm trying to make,
when you are done on that point,
I'm trying to make,
if you had allowed me to finish, I was about to say that when Dr. Bawumia recently addressed some of the party communicators and when I listened to that bit, I had saluted him and really got a lot more respect for him at how speedily he gave his, acceptance of defeat in the elections and all of that. I felt that was top class. But then listening to him post that and some of the reasons he felt the NPP had lost the election, I started scratching my head and wondering, because he's talking about, people did not show up on the day and they were wondering, was he asking himself why people were not showing up to vote? People that they expected from the crowds he's mentioned, and they saw these mammoth crowds, but on D-Day people were not. Were they contemplating why were the people not showing up rather than people didn't show up? And secondly, then he lampoons the media in a way that, the media all seem to have been in one corner. I don't know what reflection, because there are so many media houses that are actually I don't want to say certain things, more aligned, if not completely aligned, to, what the NPP stands for and all of that. So I listened to it, and then what struck me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was that I think the NPP still hasn't sat down, still hasn't done the proper analysis of why they lost. Of course, so you can go on. You can go on with your point.
The time is too short for anybody to say that we can have a proper scientific research and data.
I'm not saying scientific and full scale, but if you're blaming the media and blaming the people of Ghana, I don't know.
I'll tell you something. In my constituency, that very day around 11 o'clock, it was very clear that people were not voting. I personally went round. I have a very small constituency. It's just about 1,000 meters stretch of a constituency. It's just that it's hugely populated. When I went round, the people were telling me why they were not going to vote. It is not as if they had any problem necessarily with Bawumia or they had a problem with me, but a certain expectation was not met.
The economy is hard. The economy is extremely hard. It's very hard for the average Ghanaian.
It played a role.
Even for professionals.
I agree with you.
It's very hard financially. So that's the only thing that they're judging by. How do I live in Ghana? How much do I spend?
I agree with you.
Can I even survive?
But that's why I was saying that on our part, we should have made sure that we communicated the challenges that we had to the people. As a government, you need a lot of resources or you need money to be able to govern.
But people feel as if perhaps the NPP members were living a different lifestyle where they didn't actually feel the hardship of the people. And so it was very difficult for them to...
We all go to the same market.
Well, but you can buy and they can't buy, perhaps.
We all go to the same
market.
Look,
people have come here. People have come here. Again, out of respect, I don't like mentioning names. But I'll tell you for a fact, because some of us are really... You MPs, others, you're on the ground. But trust some of us, the places we enter. Look, I get to speak to cobblers, barbers, hairdressers, drivers. Sometimes the things they share with you are the very things that you will see on election day. Those are the things that will come back and bite you. So when sometimes, it's amazing how we do politics, because back then when we were railing against Mahama, people would paint you with a paintbrush. He's NPP. Now when we're railing against the Kufuor, he's NDC. But we like it that way. We're always somewhat in opposition, fighting for the people of Ghana. But if people come on the show and they sound like, but tomatoes, a crate is so expensive now. But if you go to a certain market at 4 a.m. in the morning, that's an insult to me. You know why? With every Ghanaian, if we all woke up and went to a certain market at 4 a.m., and even there, do you know when you will get low prices? When they are literally carting it off the trucks. Once they get into the market and they are selling them, you're not going to get them at those prices, even at 4 or 5 a.m. So it was what sounded like insults to ordinary Ghanaians that, wait a minute, we're all suffering. If you say we should tighten our belts, for example, during COVID, when the president said this and that, some said politicians don't even have a belt. What are they tightening? But we are tightening our belts. Inflation went as far high as 54%. So when we see that, Charlie Yebre, but we are all, you are cutting this, you are cutting that, and all of that. Then we begin to see that, okay, we are in this together. But we are in this together. Someone is in a V8 doing this, doing that. And you are, Charlie, you can't even buy fuel. Someone is working, and you are like, Charlie.
You see, Wells are agreeing.
And then the rhetoric, they'll come and sit here and paint a picture that, oh, Charlie, Bibia the Dean, what are you talking about? That is a large part of why you lost. Ghanaians felt you were insulting them.
No, but you see, whilst I agree with you, do not limit or box it into a certain...
I'm not limiting it to that.
No, with your last statement, when you said there are some people in V8, what is V8?
No, you're not getting...
I agree, but I'm just saying...
The optics. I say that politicians often forget the optics. I don't care about it.
No, but you have the coupons to help you. That's the point.
No. So the point I'm trying to make...
Vincent, I don't really care. I don't really care about the V8s.
I agree with you.
I'm not speaking for myself.
When it comes like that, then you now get into the arena of envy. With the greatest of respect. Let's not do that.
You don't get the picture. No, let me clarify. I'm not speaking for myself. You remember I started talking to you about barbers, hairdressers, and the rest. These are the things a lot of them went and voted on D-Day. But that is what they see, the optics.
Stakeholder.
Let me ask you this.
a member of parliament need a V8. They are members of parliament,
Vincent,
hinterlands and all that.
Vincent.
So there's a purpose for giving them V8. So let us not. I mean,
quick question.
I agree with everything.
I have always said that
everything
for the V8s, those who have to traverse large swathes of the country, for example, go up north,
right,
go to the hinterlands, go to certain rural communities, let them have V8s. How about the number of those in Accra? What do they need V8s for? Yes, some of the roads in Accra are not bad. The very people we go to for loans, you go to the French, you go to the Americans, you go to the British. Do you see the cars their leaders drive?
It's a conversation we can have.
Yet our leaders will be swaggering in these kinds of... those are the things you should look at.
How many of them has the good roads that you're talking about? So let's not make that argument. See, let's not get to that area. The point I'm trying to make is that I agree with everything that you said. And as I said, we, especially the young people in the party, we are going to learn. We are going to reflect. Because this is our party. This is all that we have. Some of us, right from school, we did not engage in any kind of job necessarily. All that we did was to make sure that we devote our time for the party and make sure that we bring this party to power. So we cannot have our party this way. And I'm not happy with the things that is even going on. I'm not even happy with the things that I am now realizing. So I'm saying that we are going to engage the Ghanaian people. We are going to let them know the shortcomings that we had, that we failed to communicate. I've had cause to even apologize a number of times to the people of Ghana, that maybe some actions and inactions of ours, one way or the other, in their face, seem to be an insult.
And I remember that, actually, that apology. I remember.
But let us be calm. Let us take our time and go through the process very well. If there's any party member anywhere whose actions and inactions is going to derail the fortunes of this party, this time around, we are going to tell them. Because this is the only party. This is not the NPP that we used to know, especially when I was in the university.
What has changed?
A lot has changed. That is how come we've gone for an election and you can find the NPP getting 41%. It tells you that a lot of things didn't go on well. I spoke to a number of people and you could clearly see. I was like, how come you people didn't tell us some of these things when we were in power? Right after the elections, then some of our own friends are now telling us these things.
Oh, but you surely knew that, people were suffering in terms of basic
I'm not talking about
needs.
even the suffering. I'm not talking about the economic
Well, the suffering is what they care about.
There are certain things that were very personal. People were not happy about certain conducts of government appointees. And those things are quite personal. Well, I'm not going to
get... They didn't fire people that they should have fired.
But I'm saying that we are going to make sure that we correct these things. I don't think that anybody out there will say that, oh, I came to Vincent's office and Vincent did not allow him to enter. No. I don't think I have that record.
So those are some of the concerns. The people feel that and that has been brought up, that some of these ministers, members of parliament, became unapproachable.
My brother,
right?
But now we have to say the truth. Within the next 3-6 months, the Ghanaian people should be able to see a different pusher. The Ghanaian people should be able to see that indeed this is the NPP that I trusted. The Ghanaian people did not vote for John Mahama. See,
they did.
They didn't.
No.
A lot of people came out and voted.
No, hold on. Yeah. The Ghanaian people did not vote for John Mahama. The Ghanaian people only passed a referendum on the performance of the New Patriotic Party. They did not even care whether John Mahama was going to be able to solve the challenges that we have. And they were just not happy.
And yet we had people at the polling stations before 7 a.m. because they wanted to let their voices be heard. So that is what you're talking about, the arrogance of the party to say that, because people didn't vote for MPP, that is why NDC won. No, that's not true. People were at the polls before 7 a.m. because they thought their vote counted.
What I'm saying is that, yes, the Ghanaian people went to the polls to vote.
Yeah.
They were there to make sure that their voices are heard. But I'm also saying that they went to the polls not to vote for John Mahama because they know John Mahama. They rather went to the polls to pass a referendum on the performance of the New Patriotic Party.
What you're saying is they went to the polls not to vote for John Mahama, but to vote against or maybe by staying at home to vote to not even vote for the NPP.
Because they are simply not happy with us.
While, and I did interact with a few people who would say, look, I traditionally vote NPP. Okay? I have to be fair. I spoke to people who said, I voted NPP all the time. I traditionally vote NPP. This time I will not vote because I'm disappointed in the way things have gone. But let's also not, it's not scientific. That I've heard people say that, the MPP's votes fell by a certain 40% because if we got 6+ million votes the last time, in the last election with Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in 2020, and we had a margin of about 500,000, and now John Mahama gets practically the same votes with just 100,000 on top, and we have fallen by this percentage. It means it is our voters who didn't show up to vote. Wait. Let's do this step by step. One, I keep repeating to the top echelons of the MPP,
yes.
You don't have voters. You may have, would you believe me if I told you that there are maybe card-bearing members of the NDC who did not vote for John Mahama and card-bearing members of the MPP who did not vote for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia? Would you believe that?
It is possible.
Indeed. So even with those that you've registered as members of the MPP, no one can 100% be claimed to be your voter. You don't own anybody. Now, what this also tells us is that those on the fringes, those who sit in the middle, who say, I'm only going to look at your performance and certain actions, and based on that, I will vote. Why? Some of us have voted for different parties within the last 20+ years. It's not about, I don't belong anywhere. But if you create a certain situation for me, I will vote against you. That is what it is. So let's be careful with that analysis. Else your party may end up
but for me,
in a very bad way.
Parliament, I can tell you what is really on the ground. Let me give you the statistics. In Otafo constituency, in 2020, my opponent and John Dramani Mahama had almost the same votes, just about 500 or 600 votes different. Almost the same votes that he had in 2020 in my constituency. Dr. Muhammad Bawumia and the MPP and myself reduced our votes by about 8,000. Not just Otafo. Go to Kwabre East. This is the constituency that gives the New Patriotic Party the biggest of votes in Ashanti region. In 2020, they had about 97,000. In 2024, the candidate there had about 67,000. But the NDC also maintained almost the same votes. It happened in Menchia North. The NDC candidate had almost the same vote. But the MPP's vote fell by about 10,000 votes. It happened to almost Oforikrum. There was a reduction of votes by about 20,000. The candidate there, as compared to what we garnered in 2020, was reduced by about 20,000. So the point I'm trying to make is that I am not saying that everybody who did not vote voted or was supposed to have voted for the New Patriotic Party. But trust me, anybody who is angry is likely to go and vote against the certain government rather than sitting home and not voting at all. You understand?
And so it gets back to the point of breaking the 8. You know what I mean? People go for a certain amount of, for a certain time they go for one party, for a certain time they go for the other party. But I think, as you said earlier, it is about moving forward.
Yes.
Both parties have to move forward in terms of maybe not go and have a witch hunt, etc. But how are you going to address the Ghanaian people in terms of they feel it in their pockets, they can't buy basic things, they're embarrassed because they can't buy basic things, they can't even put on electricity.
You are in this country.
That is what
you are in this country.
I am.
You will realize very soon that the NDC and John Mahama cannot solve your problems.
I'm saying both parties have to solve problems.
But wait. I've heard. We know John Mahama.
Absolutely.
We also know Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Yes. We also know Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We've seen them govern. But I hear something that worries me. I don't want to mention names again. I remember names, but sometimes I don't want to mention them. I've heard a lot of your party people speak, and it's almost as though there were ill will that we want John Mahama to fail.
We don't want John Mahama
to fail. Relax. Your rhetoric sounds like we pray he fails, then Ghanaians will maybe come to some epiphany, and then maybe they'll come back to us. Is that the desire?
That the Ghanaian people did not go out there to vote for John Mahama. No, they did not.
When you're done with this news review, go on our Facebook live stream, and I will not read the comments. Go and read. I think Ghanaians feel differently. And some of them are commenting here. So while out of respect, I don't want to read them. When we are done, go and check out some of the comments.
And can I just make one point as well? I mean, after the elections, I read I think it was on Joy or another news platform, that in fairness, the NPP did have some indications about how the elections would go, because months before they'd done a poll, and then there was some sort of assessment that, you know, it could swing the NDC's ways. So months ahead of the elections, NPP had an indication because they did an actual poll and they went, you know, to grassroots, they went to find out how people were likely to vote, etc. And these are some of the things they could have addressed. But again, for me personally, I really felt as if at the upper echelons of the NPP, it was always dressing, I mean, maybe particularly because I'm a lawyer, it was always dressing things up in legality and come what may, this decision will stand. And the arrogance that the average Ghanaian will not see what's happening, or even the academic Ghanaian or the lawyer themselves, or even the judges wouldn't see, how come 95%, 98% of the decisions are always going this way? Come what may, if it's been declared, it's going to happen. So I think it was the arrogance of not seeing that even the average person was seeing, this is too entrenched, this is too legalized, and above everything else, because you can do things the way you want, we are feeling it in our pockets. We can't provide for our children, we can't provide for our wives, we are embarrassed in society, we're borrowing from people, electricity is not on, water is not running. One example, for instance, I went to a Forex Bureau last year, and then I was just making a comment about the economy, even though I was changing dollars. I was making a comment about the economy. And the lady pointed behind me to a 4x4. And she said, and this was the owner of the Forex Bureau that I know quite well. And she said, oh, the woman parks her car there every day because she lives quite near. It was Spintex, she lives quite near. And then she takes her trotro to work. And then she comes back to that Forex Bureau and takes her car home. That is how difficult the economy was, and people were sort of like privately hiding their shame. And so once we start addressing these issues, instead of like people lived so far up, like, I mean, just being with you, I can tell that you're really on the ground and you really know what's going on, and perhaps these are the voices that the NPP needs to listen to. But even spending a second with some of these NPP upper echelons, just like a second with them, you would just sense how everything will go the way they say it's going to go, how it's going to go. And it was a humbling lesson, what just happened at the polls. But I really do think, maybe leadership-wise, maybe America has to face this, maybe Ghana has to face this, but everybody's too old. And it's young people like you that might need to take over NPP and whatever. But people do not get what's happening on the ground. And once you get, people didn't really care about the polls and how many voted and how many didn't. They cared about what they felt in their pockets.
Okay, so we have to move, move on and get into the papers. But let me just do this. I checked Kwabre East and for the results. So in 2020, you secured, the MPP secured 86% of the vote. That was about 86,000, so 77% of the vote. Then the NDC's candidate secured 24,000 plus, thereabouts, 22% of the vote. In 2024, you secured 68,000 of the vote, 68,000 plus. There are a few top-ups there. The NDC got 27,000 plus. They increased their votes by what, some 3,000 thereabout. That's about plus 3,000 votes. If you look at the difference for yours, it's about 18,000. You mentioned 60 and 90. It was sounding like 30,000 plus. The difference is actually 18,000. Okay, and if you look at it technically, in any constituency, go and look at the Volta region's votes. In some places too, you had low turnouts that affected because not all 18 plus million people who registered. So it runs across the board. I can agree to some extent that if you're seeing 18,000 less votes, you should be concerned. But don't run it down to people didn't vote this way or that way. It's part of it. It's not all of it. That's all I will say. But let's move the conversation forward. We'll do the Daily Graphic newspaper and then do some online portals. Now, on Christmas Eve, work hard for country. Religious leaders charge Ghanaians. There's also President Commissions Vessel Housing for Navy. Be measured in prophetic declarations, church leaders admonished. On the back page, Lordina Foundation gives to Gambaga Witches Camp, witches in inverted commas. EPA cautions public against Harmattan conditions. So the Environmental Protection Agency has urged members of the public to exercise extra caution to avoid imminent health hazards as the Harmattan season sets in. The authority said with the onset of the Harmattan season, the level of airborne particulate matter, that is dust levels, was expected to increase across the country, posing dire health challenges. In a statement issued last Sunday, the EPA said its monitoring stations at the University of Ghana and Adabraka had shown increased levels of dust with air quality index between unhealthy, that is red, and very unhealthy, that is purple, from December 13 to date. You know, we've had challenges with our air quality over the last years, and it's been every now and then we get to the worst point, one of the worst points globally, and we fall. You look at places like Mumbai, New Delhi, you look at Rio, Sao Paulo in Brazil. Like, there are hotspots, even Japan. I don't know whether it's Tokyo or one of those places. This definitely is a cause for concern. And I also mentioned here yesterday, it's also hazy. So even when you are driving, you have to be careful because it's hazy. You may not, your visibility is a bit reduced, even at night. Early morning, getting into the evening. So many things to look out for. And
plant
then let me add,
plant more trees and it'll be better.
Okay. I don't know whether I want to go there because you will lead me down a certain slippery slope. Lordina Foundation gives to Gambaga Witches Camp. Now, the Lordina Foundation has presented food and essential items to beneficiaries of the Go Home project at the Gambaga Witches Camp. The items included bags of rice, cartons of vegetable oil, canned tomatoes, malt drinks, fruit juices, assorted breakfast beverages, purified bottled water. It goes on and on. And then it ends with the Go Home project coordinator also called for the implementation of the anti-witchcraft law, which was passed a few years ago, to educate Ghanaians and prevent further instances of elderly women being expelled from their homes due to witchcraft accusations. Thankfully, both of you have legal backgrounds. One thing that breaks my heart, of course, you can't go to any court and prove that someone is a witch. Spirituality can't be proven. And people, I have seen crazy things of people beaten to death, flogged to death, and all that. The camps, right? I'm against the camps to the extent that we are probably the only country in the world with a witches camp, as far as I know it, right? But the other hand of it is that without these camps, some of the people too will be killed in their communities. So this is safety. So it's like a catch-22 situation for me. What your reaction to this?
Well, if they really were a witch, wouldn't they be able to get their way out of the camp and free themselves?
Oh, well.
Sorry.
But they also receive essentials in the camps.
Okay.
That possibly, because imagine you are cut off from your community.
Yeah.
The only home you've known, practically forever. Where do you go? Family is against you. Relatives are. Where will you go and fend off if you leave the camp? You see it. Mm-hmm. So it's a very tricky situation.
I think it's a community on its own now. Now, when you go there, you find all sort of people engaging in all kinds of trade over there. I think the last time that I went there, that was somewhere, was it February? Yeah, February or March. You'll be surprised that when they tell you this person is here because somebody somewhere or family member somewhere has labeled this person as a witch.
Or some fetish somewhere, or pastor came and conducted some ritual and they say the person is a witch.
We've grown and we've gotten to a point whereby some of these things should cease to happen. Because we cannot be labeling old women just because you have issues with yourself, you have difficulties with your life. A pastor told you that your grandmother is a witch, and for that matter, you send some of these people. There are people that they can even label their own mother.
No, and again...
I mean, some young people are not doing well, and it's my grandma, it's my mother.
It's shameful.
It's shameful because I think for hundreds of years, women have been demonized. If you were in any sense independent or free thinking and different things, and it's happened in different countries, even in America, they had it, I think, in the 1700s. So, you know, if that happened in the 1700s, etc., we have to move forward.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes
we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
You have to learn from other people's examples.
It is being threatened by women and saying anything original or different or focused, then they must be a witch.
But I think that the NCC should probably take this up and see how best they can educate such areas.
Communities, yeah.
Such communities and educate them. Because without that, you continue to find some of these things happening. Yeah. And so the NCC should probably in the coming years, as part of the activities and education to the Ghanaian public, should take it up and deal with some of these matters. I think that within the shortest possible time, some of these things should be a thing of the past. We've grown to a point where
they've been with us for quite a long time. Yeah, even Trokosi is still, you know, even that. Female genital mutilation, FGM, or they used to call it female circumcision, and the name was changed to reflect what it does. It's mutilation. Yes. Till today, it's against the law, but some people still find a way. Child marriages. It still happens. You're not aware? In some, I don't want, again, I try to avoid stereotypes, so I don't usually like mentioning it. But in some parts of the country, even child marriage, it's still happening.
For child marriage, I know.
In the last few years, there have been rescues and all of that. People who are even going to be married off to someone in Burkina Faso and all that. All these things.
Right. Community sensitization goes a long way. It really does. So it's about changing mindsets, I think. It helps.
All right. Let's quickly do these stories. On Christmas Eve, Work Hard for Country religious leaders charged Ghanaians, and Christian leaders have called on Ghanaians to use the Christmas period to foster harmony, bury their differences, and work for the common good of the country. They said, having gone through a peaceful election, Ghanaians should be grateful and unite to build the country, basically. I don't want to go through the list of those who are speaking. Then when you go to page 13, President commissions vessel housing for Navy, and President Akufo-Addo witnessed the presidential fleet review and commissioning of Ghana Navy ships Achimota at the Secondee naval base yesterday in one of his final official duties as Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. It was preceded by the inauguration of a residential facility for the Navy at Apollo, made up of 23-bedroom apartments as part of its efforts to ease the accommodation challenge and improve the state of infrastructure for the Ghana Navy. Then when you go to pages 32 and 65, I don't have to delve into the story. Be measured in prophetic declarations, church leaders admonished. And I've always quoted the Bible in respect of a certain... Today I'm being very friendly. I don't want to mention any... I don't want to cut people to the bone and to the marrow.
Before Christmas.
But it's Christmas. It's my Christmas gift to them. I'm being nice. I don't want to, do buga. But on Friday, blunt thoughts, no holds barred. You see, I heard people state emphatically, once you are general secretary of this party, there's no way you take the party into opposition. I heard people receive certain candidates and bless them, and from both sides say certain things. It could have gone either way. Even chiefs. I always say that I don't know why chiefs want to get involved in, and then if you have someone who is vindictive and says, you people will not develop this area because what have you done to your people? Bless all of them, wish them well. There's no need to get into this. Then people said, and I saw, and in that dream, and this and that, and God said. So it's one of two things. It's either God is a liar, which he's never been, or you are a liar. Which is it? I don't get it. I simply don't.
I think the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, particularly with these pastors sometimes. And, some of the greatest pastors, supposedly with the largest followings, particularly in Nigeria, at least two of them suddenly demised, out of nowhere. And these were people going around prophesying over people's lives, etc. So I think, it's the beginning of wisdom to have the fear of God. And perhaps pastors should just think if it's not positive and it's not moving things forward, then perhaps don't share such negative rhetoric, particularly if it's politicized and particularly if it's been paid for.
I think it's become clear that certain pastors lean left, certain pastors lean right. I don't have a problem with that. But when you use God's name in vain, and, the Bible says, it says, because of you, the Gentiles act a certain way. They despise God. I don't know, but we don't realize it sometimes. It could be you, it could be me. You do something. Hey, Christian umponi, wonyame so mumponi. You say you are a Christian. This is what you are doing. You lead someone astray. Jesus talks about that. For such people, it would be better for a millstone to have been tied around your neck and you dropped into the sea. You get it? I don't get how these pastors sometimes...
As a Christmas message, perhaps, for our pastors who say that they lead this nation, the one thing they've never touched on in their sermons and, let their congregations know is that Jesus himself did not have a church. You know what I mean? Jesus never had walls around him. He just went out talking to people. And he was against the institution, which was, Judaism in terms of these temples, etc. So if Jesus himself did not have a church, a platform, and was dealing with people one-on-one, perhaps the greatest message we can give them this Christmas is that perhaps they don't even need a building, but they just need to reach people.
I think we should go the Rwandan way about even setting up churches.
Yeah.
Go and read about Rwanda and how difficult it is to come up with any of these. Every whatever distance you go in Ghana, you'll find a church somewhere. I'm very Christian. I'm not against churches, but I think there should be more regulation. There should be more looking even into the resources, because like I saw a post recently. Oh, the pastor needs a car. Let's donate. Oh, Amma needs surgery, kidney surgery or something. Oh, let's pray. Let's pray. Yeah. But that's exactly what we do in Ghana. I think it is high time we realize. I'm Christian. I'm cutting how we do Christianity because I think it is wrong.
I'm like you. I'm also a Christian. See, on Sunday, just move to any church. Go to about 10 churches. And just come and tell me how many of them was preaching the gospel.
Oh, yeah. They preach business.
How many of them?
And they ask for dollars and stuff, Some blessings come with dollars.
Apart from Onanabi before, apart from Ubedi, you're going to be rich the next year. You're going to do this the next year. Your brother is going to do this. You travel here. Common visa. If I tell you how pastors are taking advantage of the Ghanaian people, you'll be surprised. Common visa. Somebody traveling, somebody who wants to travel outside the country. If I tell you the amount of money some of them will have to pay to pastors. So you see, I think that community, especially those leaders, have seen that the Ghanaian people are gullible and they want to take advantage of us all the time. I would wish that we pass certain laws. There are certain regulations that will regulate that sector.
Yeah, but this is one area one cannot regulate. You just leave it to God to deal with people, but you can never regulate the church.
I'm saying, look at the Rwandan example. We have to go, but look at the Rwandan example.
Yeah.
Read about what Rwanda is doing. Not outside Africa, right here in Africa.
In America,
read what Rwanda is doing.
The big pastors, TD Jakes, etc.
When he says that a pastor needs a car, let's donate. But a church member
needs surgery, life-saving surgery.
Let's pray. There are some of them who are actually sick that will need instant medical attention. They will take them to the churches.
But that's why people should read the Bible for themselves.
Some of them believe in the pastor so much so that if a doctor tells the person to do this, they will not, but they will listen to the pastor.
And that's where irresponsible pastoring comes in. We have to go. Someone says, the message says, enjoying your message and I'll bring my offering. No, donate that offering to those who need it better. But all of this discussion reminds me of Koda. May his soul rest in peace. Things are not the same anymore. Christosum. He attended church one day and he was wondering, is this church or Gimpa?
Yes.
Anyway, that's the note on which we are going to wrap this conversation. You can check out some details on myjoyonline.com. MP Cynthia Morrison among 280 members expelled by Agona West MPP. Education Minister hasn't prioritized WAEC. Nochukoto says so. And CTAC threatens indefinite strike over breach of agreements. All those stories on myjoyonline.com. Those who joined us, Echo Vincent Asefua, Member of Parliament for Otafo, and congratulations once more. And also Deputy Minister for Local Government. And we also
grateful to the people of Otafo for renewing my mandate. I'm grateful
to
them.
Amanda Clinton, of course.
Clinton.
I try to avoid that. I don't want to. Amanda. Okay, so I'll say Amanda
Akoko Clinton.
Clinton, yes. And she is head of chambers at Clinton Consultancy. She's a lawyer. Well, thank you for joining the conversation. Sports is up next with Muftar Nabila Abdullahi. Do stay.